Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Dr. Siti Salwani Binti Abdullah. Today, we are going to present about crowdfunding as our group assignment. Our group consists of 4 members.
Introduction of the crowdfunding. Crowdfunding not only gives organization cash, but it also expand their institutional structure and increase their institutional manpower by telling their friends and network about the project they fund. The backers unintentionally add to the marketing team. Second, crowdfunding also have the benefit not only being subject to strict deadline and yearly development budget. Anytime a problem or a concern is particularly important and people can be mobilized, financial support from the crowd is available. Lastly, crowdfunding is effective, intelligent, democratic, and most importantly, it ensures the risks are distributed among many people. However, there is a chance of a fraud because a company may give investor false information. Next is about the background of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, which being a way to raise funds for artistic and creative projects, now encompasses a much broader range of activity ranging from the small charitable endeavors to business seeking hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for equity. Next, crowdfunding is a method of raising money by soliciting donation from a large number of people with an interest in a company such as a family, friends, investor group, and individual investors. To raise the money required for your business venture, the objective is to draw the sizable audience to your investment. Lastly, crowdfunding is referred to effort by entrepreneurial individuals and groups to fund their ventures by soliciting relatively small contribution from a relatively large number of people via the internet without the use of traditional financial intermediaries. Next is about the venture capital versus crowdfunding in Malaysia. Malaysia venture capitals and equity crowdfunding differ in a few key ways. The fact that a venture capital typically requires less work because business only need to pursue a small number of investors to fund their venture in one of the biggest difference. Crowdfunding is expand your network, allowing you to reach more people to promote your brand. Why venture capital is making money is a better goal for a company to pursue than trying to significantly impact society. Next, the criteria of the crowdfunding are not as strict and have more room for change. Why the criteria of venture capital is to choose where to put your money and be less flexible. Lastly, crowdfunding will get less help because they are more likely to be a possessive investor. Why venture capital is most of the time investor will give you more advice if they are more involved. Next is about the history of crowdfunding in United States. On 5 April 2012, the Jumpstart Our Business Startup Jobs Act was signed into law. A provision of this act allows companies to raise money through crowdfunding, which is the practice of raising small amount of capital from a large number of people, is typically via the internet. Next, crowdfunding was used to underwrite the US tour British rock brand Merliant. The Job Act allowed companies to sell equity by crowdfunding. Lastly, the Job Act allowed a company to issue up to $1 million in securities in a 12-month period, although this limit was later raised to maximum of $50 million.
Today, I'm going to explain about history of crowdfunding in UK. Equity crowdfunding is well regulated in the UK with the Financial Conduct Authority (FCA) enforcing prospectus rules on any deal above 5 million. The syndicate room required you to self-certify as an accredited investor or a high net worth individual. Previously, an online crowdfunding platform that was allowed a merchant investor to co-invest alongside angles. Syndicate Rooms stopped its crowdfunding offering in the October 2019. Lastly, the largest ECF platform in the UK that was set up in 2011. Next, I would like to explain about history of crowdfunding in Malaysia. Crowdfunding in Malaysia works and it is growing because the government backs it and sees it as the way to strengthen the capital markets. In the last 5 years, companies that has offered equity crowdfunding ECF have raised RM199 million, which is about $48 million. The Deputy Finance Minister said Security Commission SC of Malaysia has given 6 businesses permission to offer crowdfunding services in Malaysia. Now, I would like to talk about advantages of crowdfunding. People have said that one of many benefits of crowdfunding is that it helps the person who is raising the money. So entrepreneurs benefit from the crowdfunding because they still can decide what to do with the money they raised. They have the right to make their own decision about how the company runs. So investors can make a lot of money by putting money into crowdfunding campaigns. Investors like crowdfunding because it is a low-risk way to make money. Finally, through equity crowdfunding, investors can spread out their holdings by giving to different campaigns and get more exposure to the market. Disadvantage of crowdfunding. So one of the problems with crowdfunding is that entrepreneurs who use it to fund their businesses have to deal with administrative and accounting issues. Next, entrepreneurs may have also to deal with the risk of having their business idea stolen. Last but not least, fraud could also be a problem with crowdfunding. This is because rules have been made easier for the small businesses. Fraud has become a problem. Thank you, that's all from me.
I will talk about the types of crowdfunding. Refer to the slide. There are 4 types of crowdfunding, which is donation-based, reward-based, peer-to-peer lending, and lastly, equity crowdfunding. For additional info, we can say that from all of these 4, donation-based is the best suit for community. Next, I will talk about the legal aspect of crowdfunding in Malaysia. Malaysia was the first Asian nation to establish rules that were specifically aimed at equity crowdfunding and its development. The Securities Commission Malaysia and Bank Negara Malaysia are the main regulatory bodies in charge of overseeing crowd investing. The SC Malaysia is in charge of issuing legal documents for crowdfunding business and monitoring the national capital market. Next, legal aspect of crowdfunding in United States. The Jumpstart Our Business startup, known as JOBS Act, which was passed established the equity crowdfunding sector in the US on 5 April 2012. Because of that, eligible companies may offer and sell securities through crowdfunding. Also, the US Securities and Exchange Commission control who can invest and who can issue securities. And last, I will talk about the legal aspect of crowdfunding in UK. The Financial Conduct Authority began regulating UK crowdfunding on 1st April 2014. For regulation of that authority, loan-based crowdfunding, commonly known as peer-to-peer lending, involve user lending money for interest and capital payback. Also, investment-based crowdfunding, consumer buy shares or debenture of new or established firm. That's all from me. Thank you.
The next slide is how crowdfunding will help individuals, especially students. Crowdfunding has become popular in the field of education as a way to use group microfinancing to realize individuals' goals. The days when parents were expected to cover the cost of education are long gone. Students frequently search for innovative ways to pay for their education. Students may actually determine their own future through crowdfunding. People might wonder why we don't just get a part-time job to help us out if we try to crowdfund a little extra money to cover our living costs. On the other hand, it is easier and more common to use crowdfunding to pay for a graduate degree. The government is now helping people pay for their master degrees and PhD, but the money doesn't go as far and it might be harder to get to. In a nutshell, crowdfunding could be a good option if we can show that we would not be able to pay for college without the help of the public. So, the next is how crowdfunding can support entrepreneurship. By putting a concept through viability testing before moving on the finance stage, crowdfunding offers business owners the greatest experience possible. Entrepreneurs should be trustworthy and open with their crowdfunding concept when it comes to the target audience expectation for campaign timing, budget, appropriate updates, and many other factors. Crowdfunding is a great way for new business to test their ideas and get social proof that will help them raise money in the future. So, next is how crowdfunding can help Malaysia in becoming a developed nation. Malaysia was the first country to set rules for the growing industry and provide a way for new ideas to get money. Its Securities Commission has approved a total of 12 crowdfunding platforms, 6 of which are based on equity and 6 of which are based on P2P lending. It has made it easier for more people to get loans. Before, the only ways to get money were through bank loan, angel investor, venture capitalists, or loans from friends and family. With equity crowdfunding, you can invest in a company you like and it can help Malaysia in becoming a developed nation. So, it can be concluded that crowdfunding is an investment made by a group of people rather than conventional financial institution. It's a rapidly evolving method of raising money for financing projects by extending the pool of investors beyond the traditional circle of owners, relatives, and venture capitalists. Crowdfunding has the potential to encourage entrepreneurship. In this era of globalization, it is very difficult for us to get funds to do something or to start a business. Therefore, with crowdfunding, we can deal with the issue that arise.